This is a production of the Gold Arrow Podcast Network. Hello and welcome back to the Gold Arrow Camp Podcast, a podcast for friends of Gold Arrow Camp. Throughout the year, we'll be joining you here to bring your day some of what makes Gold Arrow special. Our goal is to help you have fun, make friends, and grow throughout the year, not just when you're at GAC. Since we can't get together in real life, we gather here around the virtual campfire. We have some of your favorite parts of morning assembly, like wows and joke of the day. We have interviews with experienced campers and some of your favorite counselors. We think it's a lot of fun, and we're glad you joined us here on the GAC Podcast. I'm Soy. This is podcast episode 3. Today we're talking with Mac and some of the OLC campers about getting into nature on the outdoor leadership course. Friends, we know that as you listen here to the podcast, you're going about your daily business. And we know that your daily business might not always be as fun as camp, but hey, we have some thoughts for you to start your day with. And one of those is that you should have fun with your endeavors, even the mundane ones. Make it all fun. You can choose to do that. And when you make mistakes or deal with setbacks, those are stepping stones to success if you learn from them. So learn from them. And last but certainly not least, see the good in other people. Okay, now that we've started your day, or maybe finished your day, I don't know, maybe you're listening in the afternoon with some positive energy, it's time for another little piece of positivity. That's right, friends. I just hit the microphone with a folder full of wows. That's right, people have been sending their wows in via the email, wows@goldarrowcamp.com. You do it on Instagram, hashtag GACWow. You can do it on Twitter, hashtag GACWow. And what we do is we compile those, and when we record a podcast, we read them in here. And so let's read some wows from the internet here. This is from Link. I'd like to extend a wow to Sushi for coming to the Netherlands and staying with us for a few weeks in between his European adventures. And that is again from Link and Bloom and Orange. So exciting to get that wow. Cappy sending in the wows. She's got a whole bunch of wows here. Cal, wow to all of the 2015 JCs who started their first year of college this fall. Wow to the fellers for announcing the newest GAC lip balm flavor with the cutest picture at the MB10K. Special double wow to that awesome GAC lip balm dispenser. It looks so awesome. I'd like to say it is pretty awesome. Wow to Baboon for an inspiring grit story. What a great reminder to continue building grit at home. Wow to Remy for this awesome grit quote. Gold Arrow Camp has taught me to be brave and reach my goals. If it wasn't for GAC, I wouldn't be nearly as courageous as I am now. And then another special wow from Cappy. I don't think Bean gets wowed enough for being the most phenomenal lister, the champion of championing others, and maybe the most thoughtful person I've ever met. But I don't know how to put that wow into one tiny wow that fully encapsulates the wow she deserves. So we'll just read it in just like you wrote it. And our last one for this podcast, from Mac. Wow to Compy, Dimples, Freckles, Jiff, Mufasa, Cappy, Hershey, and Huckle. Moving to a new place can sometimes be hard, but not when your GAC family is amazing. These friends helped me move in, visited me, and helped me explore my new city. Compy even hand drew me a map of the important places to know in Santa Cruz. Wow. So much love to you all. From Mac. And those are the wows for this time around. Thank you so much for contributing those. And again, if you have a wow for somebody, it doesn't need to be a camp person. Could be a friend who listens to the podcast. Maybe your parents because you listen in the car. Maybe you want to wow a counselor from this summer. Just go ahead and send that to wow@goldarrowcamp.com or hashtag GACWow.
We have some poems for you. I like poems. We like to start off Poetry Corner with some well thought out haikus.
This one is titled Unsung Hero. The most delicious. Better than Choco Tacos. Strawberry shortcake.
Thank you to Croaky for that. That's an old favorite, strawberry shortcake. I am team strawberry shortcake. All right, now we're going to come to the interview portion. And on this podcast, the interview is a little bit different. We have two interviews. We have first coming up here an interview with Mac about the OLC and about how the OLC works. And then following that, we have the actual words of some of the participants from the outdoor leadership course. They talk to Sunshine at the end of the summer, and we've kind of clipped those interviews together into something here for the podcast. So we hope that you'll enjoy that. But first, here she is, backpacking director and leader of the OLC, Mac. Oh, Mac, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. So for those listeners who might not know you, can you tell us a little about who you are and what you do at camp?
Absolutely. So my name is Mac, and I've worked 4 summers at camp doing backpacking. This last year I was the backpacking program head, and I also got to be part of the outdoor leadership course, OLC trip, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit.
Oh, how about we just talk about it right now?
Let's
Yes.
just get down to it.
So the whole episode is about the outdoor leadership course. Could you explain for maybe people who haven't been on the OLC what the OLC is and how specifically you've been involved with the OLC?
Absolutely. So I believe we did our 5th OLC trip this summer, which is cool. It's been fun watching it grow. And so it is a 2-week outdoor leadership program where we have high school students coming in, and they are getting all of the training they need on leadership skills and a little bit of some like wilderness first aid training, and getting an idea of how do you like pack and prepare for a long-term backpacking trip. So getting the food all prepped, talking about gear, talking about packing, and talking about navigating and like planning routes. And so we go on about an 8-day backpacking course, usually somewhere on the JMT PCT, so pretty near to camp, which is really amazing. And the students, we're just out there, and everyone gets a chance to lead and gets a chance to kind of take control of their own experience, and we debrief and have reflection every night, and everyone gets a lot out of it. For a lot of people, it's very out of the comfort zone, spending that much time out in the wilderness with people you don't really know, and people learn a lot of hard skills like cooking and like compass and navigating and first aid skills, but then you also learn a lot about working with a team and leading and listening and just like appreciating nature and enjoying time away from your phone. And so,
What?
it's
Away from your
I know.
phone?
It's crazy. No phone.
Ooh.
No anything.
You talked a little bit about it, but I know a lot of people aren't super familiar with kind of the terrain on the John Muir Trail or the PCT. Could you talk a little about what the terrain is like on the OLC?
Definitely. So you are in the high Sierras, and so all of the OLCs that we've done have had some element of getting to some sort of a high Sierra pass. So you're above 10,000 feet, you're above the tree line, and you are looking down on some incredible high Sierra lakes and just some of the most amazing places you've ever seen. And there's so few people, and it's pretty magical. The JMT PCT is beautiful, and you change terrains a lot too. You're in the high Sierras with no trees, and then you're down and you're along a river, and then you're by the lakes, and it's pretty amazing. And
yeah, I'm always jealous of the OLC people. Like, I came out to pick you guys up, and it's just spectacular and open, and I was in like the most civilized part of the trail you'd been on because I could drive a car to it, and even there I was like, This is just incredible. Is the OLC always the same trip, or could somebody do the OLC a second or a third time and get a totally new experience, do you think?
The OLC is definitely different every time. Usually we change up the routes. So I think we've had about 5 people who have done the OLC twice.
Wow.
And got very different experiences both times. So the routes are changing, and then of course the people you're on the trip with are changing. So you have different leaders, you have different teammates, and so that definitely changes the dynamic a lot too. So I feel like the students that have done it more than once have said that they've got a lot out of doing it more than once and got different things out of it both times, which is really cool.
That's really awesome. You were talking earlier about kind of you called them hard skills, which I think is a good name for them. Like kind of those hard skills that people learn: cooking, navigation, packing. How do you go about teaching those to campers in a way where they can learn, but we're also ensuring like all the right stuff gets packed and dinner gets cooked?
Yeah, that's a great question. So on this trip, we really do empower the students to be the leaders, and so they're running the show, and we're kind of there supporting and encouraging and making sure we have all the things we need and making sure that all the knots are tied right and all that stuff. But really, we're letting them dictate the experience, and that's another really cool thing about having students return on the OLC is we've had students who have returned and they've really taken charge and helped to teach some of those hard skills and help remind people of all the things that we're needing to focus on. So that's been really cool as well to empower those students to be leaders.
Yeah, no, that I think it's awesome. And later in the podcast we have some interviews with some people who went on the OLC this year. And that's one of the things they kind of talk about is like what leadership is and how it changed what they thought leadership was. And I think it's awesome. What's your favorite OLC memory?
Oh man. That's hard. Probably my favorite memory is we chose to kind of go, there was a trail kind of off to the side of the JMT PCT that took you to this lake. And so it was kind of a scramble to find it. It wasn't super clearly defined, and we'd have a long day, and it was about midway through the trip. And we finally get to this lake, and it's about sunset time, and it's like the most beautiful place I had ever been. It was all magical and like purplies and blues, and just like this lake was just like so perfect, and there was no one for miles, and we had just been working so hard. And so when we got there and everyone just had this sense of like awe and accomplishment, and everyone like forgot about how tired they were and were just like so excited to be by this lake. And so they were running around and dancing and taking all these pictures, and I'm just so happy. And so yeah, that's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, that sounds so awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Okay, so the OLC is one of our teen programs, right? It's something that campers often do after they've kind of aged out of cabins. And I think a lot of campers would be nervous, if not kind of outright opposed, to a lengthy high country backpacking trip. They look at that and they're like, why would I ever walk for 7 days in the mountains? Do you have any advice for people who think maybe the OLC is not for them?
Definitely. We had a lot of campers on this last OLC who kind of had the mindset of like, this is not something I would normally do. This is not something I enjoy doing on my free time. But they had the mindset of just really wanting to push themselves and challenge themselves and prove to themselves that they could do it. And so I feel like if that's your mindset, then you are perfect for the OLC. So it doesn't matter like how much you've hiked or how much you've enjoyed backpacking or how much you hate bugs or whatever it is. I feel like as long as you have that mindset of like viewing this challenging thing as a really cool growth opportunity and like proving it to yourself, because after you get done, you feel you're on top of the world. Like you feel so incredible that you just conquered this thing that so many people haven't even dared to do because it's too hard or too much time or too scary or whatever it is. And so like the feeling that you get after doing something like that is so worth any of conquering your fears and, you know, being uncomfortable. All of it is so worth it. And so I feel like anyone can do the OLC with the right mindset and if they're excited about the challenge, for sure.
So you think like if you are willing to push yourself, you shouldn't be scared off by the remoteness of the thing.
Definitely. Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. And the cool thing too is that everyone is so out of their comfort zone as well. So you're not alone in that. And with our like discussions and reflections, and you kind of start to realize that everyone's working, like pushing themselves, and everyone's kind of supporting each other in the things that they're uncomfortable with. And so you grow a lot closer with the group that you're with, and you're able to do things you didn't think you could do because of their support.
Wow. Okay. What skills from or lessons, and it could be from the OLC or it could be from camp, because I know you've also spent 4 years working at camp, and that's not all in the backcountry. So what skills or lessons from the OLC or camp do you use now that you're back at school?
Okay. I use a lot of them all the time. So right now I'm in a PhD program and I'm teaching for the first time. And I think two of the biggest things that I've gotten from camp is one, like being very confident in my ability to go for it and just to make things happen. And especially backpacking, you have unexpected things happen, like it rains or you're lost or you realize you didn't pack forks or whatever it is. And so being able to like problem solve and think on your feet and be really confident in your ability to make it a great experience,
Sure.
despite any fears you might have or problems that may arise. So I've definitely like utilized that already, like in teaching and in school. Like the very first day of class, it was so hot, and our campus, UC Santa Cruz, doesn't have air conditioning because it's normally not hot. And so my students were like hot and not paying attention, and I was like, oh gosh, this is awful. And then I like got into my camp counselor mode and was like, no, great, we're going to go outside and we're going to do some getting to know you games and we're going to have the best first day of class ever. And so like I feel like I definitely wouldn't have been able to like save the scenario if it wasn't for what I learned at camp, and like be able to do it confidently and to get up in front of a class and to kind of like be myself and be loud and goofy and get people engaged. Like I feel like camp helped with all of that so much.
Good. I don't have anything else clever to say there, Jess. I think that's really good.
Well, thanks.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. So I have to ask you the speed round questions. Questions everybody who comes on the podcast gets to answer. Here it comes.
Okay.
Mac, what is your favorite repeat after me song?
The Moose song.
Moose juice hair. Yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
Favorite salad bar item?
Favorite salad, the feta cheese.
Yes. I brought feta to lunch today because I love the feta on the salad bar so much.
Proud of you.
Yeah, I'm proud of me too. Favorite chapstick flavor?
The vanilla.
Oh, vanilla tree. Both delicious and cleverly named.
Yes. Indeed.
Mallows or popcorn?
Popcorn.
Oh, all right. And finally, Mac, tell the people at home, what's your real name?
My real name.
I'm so sorry. We're all out of time, Mac. That's it for the podcast. We have to wrap it up. We'll have to get your real name the next time we chat with you.
Sounds great.
Okay, and now we're going to kind of shift gears and talk with people who have actually been on the Outdoor Leadership course. These are people from the 2016 Outdoor Leadership course session 2. They did 45 miles in the High Sierra and saw some really spectacular places. And Sunshine talked to them at the end of the summer. And so here, what we'll do is kind of I'll tell you what the question was, and then we'll play some clips, and then we'll come back to me again over and over. So here they are in their own words: Cole Harden, Esme Grant, Julia Blatz, McKenna Latt, Peyton Boyd, Rihanna Fickgray, and Will Kellogg talking to us about the OLC. The first question was, what did you learn on the OLC?
I just learned basically that there is no limit. Like I can push myself a lot further than I originally thought I was going to go with like working with other people, physically, just really, like I can actually say like I was in the wilderness.
One thing I learned in general in OLC and backpacking is that it doesn't matter like if you're weird or you have a physical problem or issue or mental issue, like everyone at different levels connects. And I mean, we have so many people doing different things. We have people doing like athletic, tennis, skiing, singing, and like even on that level, we all connect and as human beings, and it's very touching, I guess. So that's why I came back.
I definitely learned that you can't take anything out of an experience without going through the full experience. Like, you can't just shortcut your way through things. You gotta go through the whole thing. You gotta push through. And in the end, there's always going to be something worth seeing. And that's probably the biggest thing I learned on this trip.
I'm always impressed by how well spoken these young people are, and I think they really had some impressive things to say about what they learned. They also had some impressive things to say about how the OLC changed them. So this is, how did the OLC change you?
I'd say OLC influenced me in a way to the point where the real world couldn't. It was like, plus because of the staff and all the people there, it was one of those things where I felt special doing it. And it was one of those things where I felt like I was making the decision to take my time to become a better person. And all the people that were doing it were also doing the same. So we all had the same mindset. And doing it 2 years in a row, I feel like I've grown so much more than I would have if I didn't do OLC.
I always just, whenever I think of this, I think of how positive everyone is. That is a huge thing for me, just being positive. If I was not positive with all the other people on the trail, I would not have gone through all those switchbacks. It was just, mentally, it helps so much because the biggest challenge is if you think you can do it or not, and staying positive helps so much. I could feel myself if I had been like, oh, I can't do this. I could just feel myself slowing down already. But if I was like, I can do this, I've done this many, I have to finish. I finished. We all finished.
None. It was 7 miles, but it was all switchbacks up the whole day. And I was looking up at the mountain and I just see the impossible. Like, how could I possibly do that? And I just kind of knew that I had to, or else I'd be like stuck in the middle of the wilderness by myself, and they would never let that happen. So I did it, and when we got to the top, I was like, I just climbed an entire mountain in one day. And
The next question got to the heart of it. This isn't just a backpacking trip. This is something we call the Outdoor Leadership Course. And so we asked, what did you learn about leadership?
This sounds kind of cheesy, but I think the biggest thing that I've learned from OLC is leadership. Like, I came into OLC learning, thinking that I was going to learn what I thought leadership was already, which was like being strong, being brave, being in front of the rest. But it's much more than that. And through the trip, I realized being a leader is being communicative with the people around you, being aware of their feelings, their emotions. It's like knowing what's to come. And I think that was really big for me because I have definitely a whole new perspective on leadership. And I think that's something that everyone should experience. When I thought of a leader, I would just think of someone who would lead everyone just like verbally and just say, but it's so different. It's how you connect with other people, how you take their feelings into consideration and act upon that.
And our last question was simply, what was great about the OLC? And I think they gave some of my favorite answers here.
You would think, oh my God, these people are the people I want to live with in the rest of my life. Like, they're genuine. They're just like, they get to you deeply and mentally and physically. They support you through the trail, which...
Well, this was my second time doing OLC, so I felt pretty accomplished being able to do it a second time, because after the first year, I kind of fell in love with it, how close everyone got and how different it was from main camp, because I had done main camp so many years before, gone for a month, so many years before, to the point where it was like, I need to do something new. So I thought OLC would be a great idea to continue my years as a camper, so I ended up going and had an amazing life-changing experience, and I had another one this year with a whole group of new people.
And it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I would do it again.
It's unreal where we are.
This is my second year also doing OLC, and last year I just had the greatest experience that I had to come back. So I came back really happy that 2 other girls were doing it same as me. So it was just so amazing, the experience, because I got so close with so many of the fellow people in such a short period of time, which is one of the best things that I knew I wanted to come back, because you can't really get this close to people once you're in like the real world. It was one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, there were the mountains and the lakes and the cliffs, and it was so pretty, and everyone was just kind of like relieved, and we had these moments of silence and reflection, and it was a really great moment for everyone. I think we all kind of bonded that day.
So there it is, the OLC in the words of the people who did the OLC. Once again, I want to thank Cole Harden, Esme Grant, Julia Blatz, McKenna Latt, Peyton Boyd, Rihanna Fickrey, and Will Kellogg for not just spending part of their summer with us, but also for sharing some of their wisdom with us. Thanks a lot, guys. Joke of the cast, 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 joke of the cast. Do you guys know why the Scarecrow got promoted at work? He was outstanding in his field. And now, it's time for another Gaxpiration with Sunshine.
One of the things that we believe in at GAC is the importance of being you. So today's Gaxpiration comes from Edwin Elliott. By being yourself, you put something wonderful in the world that was not there before.
And with those closing words of wisdom, that brings us to the end of another podcast. I want to thank Mac for coming on. I also want to thank the OLC crew for their contributions. I want to thank those of you who have emailed WOWs or hashtagged us, #GACWOW for WOWs. I want to thank you for downloading this. If you have a chance, rate and review it on iTunes. It helps it move up in search for people who are looking for a podcast like this one. And with that, I bid you a fond adieu. This is Soy, and I'll save a marshmallow for you.